You guys have been seeing this face all around the internet, okay? And it's quite unfortunate, but you've been seeing this face everywhere, right? This particular person, I can't even say this. I don't know how to say Charlotte Nazard, whatever. She's trying to make a meme on Charizard. Apparently, she made some statements that people don't like. Okay, people don't like these statements because it has to do with Elden Ring, and she's coming up with all of these excuses as to why Elden Ring needs more accessibility. Right? It's just another NPC saying the same shit about a game that they should not be playing. And one of the things that she said was that kids are essentially a situational disability, right? She had to put the word disability with having kids. I mean, it is wild to me. So we're going to play the video, get the full context, and give our 2 cents on it. And then we're going to get into the waifu battle after this. So here we go.
The day has finally come. The people have finally spoken. So listen up, Miyazaki. Elden Ring's DLC is too hard. I have like a couple of like kind of very different branching takes to make in this video. I am going to talk about accessibility and why I think
Hold
accessibility
on.
is really important and
Hold
how
on. Miyazaki, if you are listening, Elden Ring is just fine as it is. Do not listen to these fucking losers who are not trying to put in the time, the energy, or the effort to even get good at your game. Don't bother. Your game is going to sell perfectly fine without this person. It has proven to sell perfectly fine without these people. And there are some franchises that just aren't for certain people. And Dark Souls has a very particular following. And I got to be honest with you, Elden Ring is an extremely welcoming game in the sense that this game starts you off so light compared to other Dark Souls games. It really does. Elden Ring starts you off very light, it eases you into it, and it really tries to make the player a better player before it starts whipping your ass. That's basically what it does. So this person is about to hit you with a whole bunch of excuses, Miyazaki, that does not matter. None of this shit matters. It's just her trying to get some clout, some virtue signal clout off of this, particular DLC that's very trending right now.
common of a conversation accessibility is where FromSoft games are concerned and why I do think it would be great if disabled players could play Elden Ring, even though it is already currently their most accessible game. There's a lot of room for improvement. But we're also going to talk about, I don't even know where to start. There are a bunch of negative reviews
You can start by just not saying it. You can start by just literally shutting up and not saying it.
on Steam for Elden Ring because Shadow of the Erdtree is considered too hard. I never thought we would get to a landscape where people will admit that they found a FromSoft game too hard. Like, even if people do, I never thought that they would admit it. Now, it's worth noting that
What? What? People have been admitting this for the longest time since Dark Souls 1. Since Dark Souls 1, you have had people complaining the game is too hard, as she likes to say, right? There's people that have been doing that since the inception, since Demon Souls. You know who those people are? Gaming journalists. They've been complaining about the game being too hard for the longest time. It's been happening since inception.
the presence of this has been a little bit exaggerated. A lot of the negative reviews on Steam are also people complaining about the performance problems, which are there, they are consistent. And that's a separate story that I've spoken about before that people did not want to hear, which is that, yeah, FromSoft really gets a pass for a lot of things sometimes. Like, the reviews were all 10 out of 10, even though most of these people are playing on PC and there are PC performance problems with these games. Those are totally valid and thankfully have been patched. So
Okay, so they've been patched, and now what? Now what? Like, I don't understand. They've been patched, and they were patched relatively quickly. Again, I'm not going to make excuses for them because if they released the game in a shitty state like that, they should get roasted for it. But if they patched it very quickly, the DLC just came out. It just came out. That means they patched that shit really quick. So if you left a bad review pre-patch and then now they fixed it and you want to change your review, I really don't see anything wrong with that. People did that with Helldivers too, so why wouldn't they do that with Shadows of the Erdtree? Right? It's kind of, I don't know,
Though
whatever.
has the difficulty. There are like two sides of this, right? Okay. There's a thing when people talk about FromSoft games that I always find really interesting. People will say, but it's part of the appeal that like you're fighting something really hard and then you finally overcome it. That's part of the appeal of the games. No, 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 no. While there are things that FromSoft games do incredibly well, like I am obsessed with their boss designs and their animation. Like for all the things we love about it, their bosses are so impressive in terms of art direction and animation. They don't even need to be. Like, oh my god, they're just so good at that. The sense of discovery is unparalleled. The uniqueness of the worlds is near unparalleled. Like, there are a lot of things that FromSoft games do really well. But saying part of the appeal is beating the, but it's not part of the appeal. It's the entire design of the game. It's the whole game. It is the core ethos, the core game design of any FromSoft game is that you are supposed to approach a boss, be willing to die the first several times as you assess their moveset, you figure out the puzzle that is beating this boss. You've retained information about their movesets, about what kills you, about how you can avoid it, and you roll into them. And then after a certain amount of deaths, which are to be totally expected, if you beat an Elden Ring boss in less than like 3 deaths, in my opinion, that's an RNG fluke and not you playing the game well. The big part of the game is learning how that stuff works. That's the point. You go in there, you gather that data, and then you finally beat them. That is the point of these games. The whole point is for them to
Correct.
be extremely challenging. I
So I don't get it then. I gonna have to let her keep talking.
I do think that people complaining about the Shadow of Erdtree DLC should get good. By which I mean just pay attention to the things the game gives you that can make it way easier. That's not to say you're not allowed to complain, okay? We are also really weird. I'm already tangenting inside my tangent. We are really weird about acting like From some games can't be criticized. They are immune to criticism. Like you are allowed to complain about finding it too hard or feeling like a certain boss isn't balanced or feeling like a hitbox is like you can complain about those things.
There are absolutely little tidbits in from software games that are that you could deem broken, right? Sometimes dodge animations, immunity animations, whatever the case, like I totally get that. Okay. But that's not what these people are complaining about, right? Like people who are complaining about Shadows of the Earth Tree are not complaining about little things like that. They're not complaining about dodge roll animations or animation locks or whatever the case may be. They're not complaining about that. They're complaining the game's too hard. Just flat out. Like they're complaining the game is too hard. So if you say that the people complaining about the game being too hard should get good, then that should just be where it ends, right? There should be no need for the rest of the video.